Hi Jordan, it's Nick speaking. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Great. Thanks for coming on the podcast today. Really excited to learn some more about you, especially the
Oh
video
yeah, no,
gaming
thanks for
part.
having me on.
Yeah, sure. So what I'd like to know to begin with is, how you got started in journalism and video games, and how you got to this point.
Okay, well, basically, I've kind of always been a really keen writer, and the video games have always kind of like, I don't know, they've always been such a passion of mine since I was about, I'd say, 5 years old.
Yeah.
Journalism, it's kind of something that I always wanted to look into.
Oh,
It's kind of a difficult thing to kind of get into as well in terms of career-wise. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but
that's so true. That's so true,
it
actually.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think journalism kind of started for me when I was maybe about 19, 20 years old. Let's say about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it kind of started off with writing for some pretty small time websites, but it was mainly voluntary.
Mm.
As far as video game websites go, though, it kind of started for me about, I would say, about 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. I love that. I've been
Yeah.
going on video game. I completely stopped for ages, and then I've been recently, in the last year or so, I've been going on video games websites looking for.
Oh, no.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Spending so many times looking. I mean, obviously, I play Fortnite, so I just, when the challenges come out, I can't believe I'm actually doing it. So I can't believe what a kid's doing because I'm a grown adult in quotations.
No,
It's
I mean,
amazing.
Fortnite is such kind of it's such a huge thing. Like, that's the beauty of it. It kind of captures such a wide audience, and
Yeah.
it's one of the things that kind of it'll keep expanding. The challenges, they're such like a great thing. They kind of capture the whole gaming audience, and like it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, it's something that kind of everyone enjoys. It's nice. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Good community.
Yeah. The community is good. I do enjoy it, and I mean,
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
playing video games since the same time as you.
Yeah.
It's something in me. I've had times, like I said, where I've gone in and out of it, but it's definitely something that will always stay with me.
Yeah.
So what you said about getting into journalism is really interesting, actually, because I think there's a journalist in a lot of people, and it does seem to have more barriers to entry. So you just got in with small places and just worked your way in and just sort of let people know you, and then obviously reading your content.
That's it. I mean, like the only problem is with kind of like writing. You need to kind of write hundreds and hundreds of articles just to kind of be seen to a specific audience.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not the easiest thing to kind of get into because you think about there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that all write about a certain topic, and you kind of have to have the winning edge over it, be seen by a certain person, and sometimes that could be quite a challenge. And I mean, you could write 100 articles on one thing, and one of those might be seen.
Wow.
And it's difficult because writing in video game journalism, you kind of always have to be up with the trends. So when there's a news story, unless you cover it within 3 to 4 hours, like it's too late.
Yeah.
Somebody else might have covered it, and like you might have lost that chance.
Definitely. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. No, that's so true because if I'm looking for an answer and then someone else has made a video of it, then I'll just go and click theirs. Especially as YouTube shows videos very quickly once they're uploaded on page one.
Yeah.
So have you noticed any difference in the last, I don't know, say 10 years of how journalism and gaming's changed, or has it always been quite cutthroat? Or
But it definitely seems to be a lot more like competitive now, I would say. I mean, it's back 7-8 years ago, there'd be like the odd one or two main news sources that you would go to.
Yeah.
But kind of over the time, it's kind of like everybody's trying to get a hold of it now.
So
So
true,
there's always like 100 different places that like want to get the exact story,
yeah.
and everyone's fighting for it. And it's kind of like everyone has to be up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to cover everything because if you miss your chance, that's it. Somebody else will get it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely a competitive sport, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's difficult in that respect.
Yeah, but exciting and definitely
It's very
must be
exciting.
rewarding.
Definitely, it's great to kind of like if you see a story kind of like pop up on Twitter.
Yeah.
Say a developer's just like released something saying a new game is going to be launched next week, out of nowhere, completely out of the blue,
Yeah.
and then you kind of like you're first on the scene, you jump to it, and
Brilliant.
you write that story like kind of just like that, and it's a great feeling to kind of like do something like that. It's kind of nice to kind of be there, kind of fight for the story.
Totally, yeah. Now, anytime you sort of, I mean, I guess it's kind of going viral in a sense. Anytime you do anything where you get some response and love, I mean, obviously the dopamine receptors, I mean, that's the whole idea behind social media, etc. But when you actually do hit it, it's a great feeling. So how long has that been? Do you say about 3 or 4 years?
I would say about 3 or 4 years, yeah. I mean, kind of like video games kind of came with about 3 years ago, I'd say. But before that, I was writing for a website called Vocal Media.
Yeah.
And I still write for Vocal Media now. Basically, it's a platform that has about 34 unique communities.
All right.
From fashion to gaming, gadgets, poetry, things like that.
Yeah.
And it basically gives writers the opportunity to write whatever's on their minds. They can write whatever you want. And you can basically publish it. Editors will edit it for you, and they'll publish it to the website for other creators to kind of check out and basically admire, send tips and things like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I mean, that was kind of the gateway, I would say, and I kind of wrote quite a few different gaming pieces for them.
Yeah.
And then I used those gaming pieces as like a portfolio.
Yeah.
And with that portfolio, I kind of started. I kind of went towards like a few different freelance kind of writing jobs for gaming sites.
Yeah.
And although they were kind of voluntary, it wasn't paid. It was kind of like an opening it was a gateway.
Yeah.
To get into the gaming kind of industry, because gaming jobs, they're not easy to kind of get. I mean, you kind of have to work your way up. You have to get so much experience. You have to be doing it for years and years and years and years, and you have to build up a huge portfolio just to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I kind of took on a couple of writing jobs for 2 different gaming websites. And I mean, it's kind of a nice atmosphere. Like the deadlines aren't too crazy, but it's kind of it's competitive again, but it's nice. It's kind of it's a good thing to work into, and I'm still kind of working my way up now, but it's kind of it's getting there, and it's nice. It's a good feeling.
Definitely, you can see at least a peak, if not the peak. That's cool.
Yeah.
Working for free is something which I would definitely always recommend. It's something that obviously goes against your initial thought when you're starting, but as you said, I mean, you're a living proof, and it's
that's definitely it. Yeah. I mean, we've seen so many people sometimes that I've spoken to news managers, and they said, we've just had somebody apply for the job, but they want to be paid, say, £5 to £10 per 100 words.
Yeah.
They've had no experience like in the industry.
Yeah.
But they kind of expect kind of like big things straight away, and it's like it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Like, unless you've got a huge portfolio and like you've been working in this field for like 5-10 years, you can't expect big things like that. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And you need patience to kind of get there. So
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, writing isn't the easiest job in the world. It's kind of like it takes a long time to kind of like craft the skills, and it's you kind of have to go into it with an open mindset that you're not going to be successful straight off the bat. You need to work towards it, and sometimes it's going to take years to kind of get anywhere at all.
Yeah, you got to take your losses and keep going.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. I absolutely love that. I think a lot of people could do with hearing that again as well. It's a really important message, so that's great.
Yeah.
So there's something you're doing which I really wanted to talk to you about, which I guess is a real passion as well, which is The Void. Is this your live music you're into as well?
So I mean, The Void is a music website which I started. It kind of focuses on alternative bands in the UK.
Yeah.
But it kind of it spotlights local up-and-coming bands. So rather than being news stories about what's going on with global bands and things like that around the world, it kind of spotlights people that are in the underground scene.
Yeah, great.
So it's kind of it kind of finds bands that's kind of got a couple of hundred likes on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
And they kind of they want to emerge into the scene, and they want to kind of build their fan base. They want to promote their music.
Yeah.
So I would basically try and find these people, these bands, and I would write the promotional content they need to kind of get this kind of bigger audience.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of what the Void is really. It's it's kind of like a side project, and I really do want to build on it because I think it's got quite a lot of potential.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just trying to find kind of local artists, I can imagine the frustration that they go through. Being like a band, you kind of want to emerge, you want to come out of the shadows, you really want to kind of be seen, you want to be heard.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be quite difficult because it's such like a tough kind of like, market.
Yeah.
Trying
my
to
God.
find, kind of like your sound and trying to find, the fan base to give you like the boost, the confidence you need. It's difficult. And like, I've seen a lot of bands that they've kind of released one song or something, they don't get like the respect they deserve, and then they kind of drop it and they leave the band, and then it just falls apart. So I think kind of the Void is it's kind of like a stepping stone. It kind of like it acts,
That's brilliant.
It's kind of like a nice bit of a promotional content for them to kind of like share to the audience, and it kind of like that's kind of like what I want it to be. To be honest, I want it to kind of just help local bands.
Just building a community. No, that's another fantastic thing too. What do you think is the state of? Because the thing is, the only reason I'm asking is I used to be really into music, and I've just sort of, for whatever reason, I've completely just like I stick to the same music I've always listened to. So, what is the scene like at the moment in, say, Worcester, or even just in the UK or in general?
Again, it's kind of like one of those competitive things. I mean, the music scene, it's a crazy kind of thing, to be honest. I mean, like in the UK. The scene that I kind of focus on mainly, like the metalcore scene.
Oh yeah.
Kind of metal music, screamo, things like that. I mean, like there's so much kind of like untapped kind of like potential.
Yeah.
In the UK, and like it's you just look on Facebook, you kind of look anywhere, you kind of see thousands and thousands of individuals that just want to kind of make something of their music. They want to kind of like break out.
Yeah.
And kind of just be seen and heard of, and it's a really like kind of like it's a tough thing,
God.
But trying to like even like land so much as like a local gig, in just one of the local venues, it could be quite like a tough job just to kind of get something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, the good thing about the alternative scene is everybody kind of gets on with everybody. But bands kind of support each other. They're always working together. There's no major kind of rivalry between bands. I mean, it is a competitive kind of market.
Yeah.
But alternative bands, they kind of tend to work together, and that's always kind of nice to see.
Yeah, that's good.
But I mean, there's so many people that are trying to kind of like climb their way up, and it's not the easiest thing to do in the world. It's not. It's in the music industry. It's kind of like the same as kind of the writing kind of thing. It's just not the easiest thing to kind of just jump straight into. It takes years and years of dedication. And practice to kind of get anywhere at all.
100%. Yeah, there's no overnight success. It's there's I think the rule of 10,000 hours or something to hone a skill. To be competent. Right. But that doesn't even cover it. Yeah, it's I definitely would say for any musician or writer, content. Just keep pushing it out.
That's it
until you hit it.
I mean the problem with like kind of writing again. It's kind of people kind of get disheartened when they've written, say, 10 pieces, 10 articles, and nothing kind of comes of it. But again, like you have to just stick to it. You have to keep writing because there's going to be so many times where you can write something which you can spend days and days on, and it can get about 7 or 8 views. I mean, I going back to the kind of the vocal media, like I've written about 60 to 70 articles that have got maybe about 10 or 11 views. Yeah. And a lot of them took, say, like 6 or 7 hours, which I thought it had like so much potential. I thought it reached the right market. I thought it would be like kind of, I thought it kind of did really well, but it didn't get anywhere. And like kind of like I don't really kind of let it dwell on me. It happens, and like I move on. Yeah. But unless you keep writing, you're not going to be able to find like your true potential. You have to keep writing, and eventually 1 or 2 things will eventually click and reach the right person. Yeah. So it's determination, like patience,
Yeah. Definitely. I was listening to I think it was Gary V was saying everybody sucks until they make a banger, and then and then you're cool, that you're set, so you just got to keep going.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I mean, easier said than done, but definitely worth doing.
Yeah, I mean it can be difficult trying to find the motivation to find things, but the smallest thing just to kind of keep you going, because it can be difficult. Yeah, it can be so difficult because anything can put you down. It's like one small thing can kind of set you astray, and you just don't want to do it anymore. But it's kind of, you have to stick with it, because the longer you stick with it, the better you'll get. and both music, writing. You release better songs, or you kind of like you write. Everything just becomes a lot better if you kind of just give it time, and
That's great advice.
It could take months, it could take years, decades even. But everybody can get there. They want to try.
Yeah,
if they're willing to try, they'll get there.
That's great. That's brilliant. I just wanted to jump back as well, because I want to just jump back, left and right. What do you think of what do you think about esports and the whole that's really sort of risen over the last year or 2 years or so? Do you have any thoughts on every kid's now wanting to play video games all day and trying to make a career out of that and streaming? I guess it's all just the same as music and writing. It's all just go on with the creative pursuit.
The video game, obviously, the industry is kind of like become this huge multi-billion-dollar kind of thing now.
Yeah.
It's always been huge, but I think obviously a lot of kids now, they look up to a lot of like Fortnite players that are making so much money from it, and obviously buying these like huge multi-million-dollar kind of mansions in the US, and like and obviously kids see that and they want to do that because to be honest, a lot of kids, they can't think of a better dream than to kind of like working and playing video games and making a lot of money for it. Like that seems like a pipe dream to a lot of people, but when kids see a few people that have actually done it, they kind of want to make it a thing. And it's understandable. Anybody would want to kind of do that. Like back in the day, you could say people wanted to be an astronaut or things like that. But now it's kind of like, I want to be like Ninja from for Fortnite. So it's
amazing.
Esports has kind of like it's expanded so much in the last like a few years, especially. Battle royale games. Esports it's got so much potential. It's got it's going to be one of those things that kind of it's going to expand for many years, and it's going to always attract so much attention. It's always going to get plenty of sponsors. It's always going to withdraw. It's going to get everything. It's kind of it's going to explode. It's going to get even bigger. I'm excited to see where it's going to be this year as well.
Brilliant. What kind of, putting you on the spot here, what would you say are your top 5 video games?
Top 5 video games. Okay. Oh wow.
It's a big one. It is a big one. It's a naughty question, really.
Okay. Probably I have to say my number 1 video game. It's actually one that I played. It was last year. It's called A Plague Tale: Innocence.
Okay, I haven't heard that. I need to check that out.
Has to be hands down probably my favorite game due to its narrative. I'm a very like story-driven kind of gamer. I don't mind kind of like my shoot 'em up kind of games and like puzzle games and things like that. But if a game has a very decent story and it kind of keeps me gripped, then I will kind of be a sucker for it.
Great.
So A Plague Tale: Innocence has to be probably my top game of all time.
I've written that down.
This is from a list of like thousands and thousands of games. So
sure, you must have come through a lot.
As for the other 4, I'm trying to think of the other 4 as well. I'd say Senua's Sacrifice, maybe. That was another one.
Okay.
So difficult. There's so many that I've played. Like
I know it's a tough question. It was just really because obviously being a gaming journalist, you must have been aware of so many, especially the small games, indie games and stuff like that.
Tons of indie games, tons of indie games, like all the games like kind of like Limbo and things like that. Like just 2D platformers. Ones with like that come from developers that have just came from absolutely nowhere. And that comes when it comes down to the writing as well. It's all good covering these news stories which they focus on like main big developers that publish AAA titles, but it's also kind of nice to kind of dig deep and try and find like these small-time developers that sometimes release these hidden gems as well. Because, a lot of them don't get like the news coverage they like kind of like need. A lot of them are worthy of like kind of like exploding, but they don't get the spotlight they deserve. And like it's sometimes nice to kind of go out of the way and try and like kind of like find these people. Because there's tons of people out there. There's tons of these games, tons of indie games that are like worthy of kind of being promoted, and just a lot of people aren't spending the time to find them.
I think about the 2D games I played as a kid. Compared to what comes out now, and we just completely discard it. There was a really good there was a good marketplace in Xbox. Again, this is probably about 10 years ago though for me. where there was lots of unsigned games and stuff, and you could play them, and there were some cool ones there. And I guess a massive change over the last maybe 5 years is games on phones. Like Angry Birds and that kind of stuff, and then obviously now you can just play Fortnite and PUBG on it.
That's it. I mean, like mobile gaming especially has kind of it's kind of grown crazy amounts. I mean, you think about 10 years ago, you'd have all these kind of like really like tiny 2D games, which are kind of like they're really really bad. They're quite poor. They run slowly. Yeah. But you fast forward to kind of present day, you think of the games that we have available now. It's crazy. I mean, like you can port kind of like brand new games with kind of like really nice enhanced graphics, and you can play it on an Android device, and it's just like that's crazy to think.
It's mind blowing. Yeah.
It is mind blowing. Yeah. I can't believe how far it's all gone, but just the fact you can kind of have this whole world kind of in the palm of your hands essentially. So it's crazy. And again, like a few years from now, it's exciting to kind of see where it's all going to go. And
it's hurtling forward, isn't it, at the moment, at a million miles an hour?
Definitely.
Okay, great. So what do you see happening for you over the next year? Have you got any sort of obviously you have these projects, are you going to push them, or do you have something you're working on this year?
I would say kind of like push the void, really. The void I want to kind of try and make much bigger. I don't want to kind of like fill it with advertisements and things like that, because to us in this day and age we get so bogged down with ads, and it kind of ruins everything. Like you open an article, you just see like 25 ads, and it kind of ruins everything. So I kind of want to keep the void original. I want to continue trying to find all of like these local artists. I mean, there's so many, but I'd also kind of like to try and maybe bring in some freelance writers as well that can write for the site. And I want to make it huge. I want to kind of like find this talent because they deserve it.
Yeah. Well, if anyone's listening, that's a great opportunity right there. Thevoidmag.uk.
Definitely. Yeah, I'd be more than open to kind of like find some other writers to work with, because it's always great working with a team. Yeah. And I'd be more than happy to kind of bring some people in. So recruit a few people even. But as far as the gaming websites go as well, I mean, I'm always eager to kind of build on my portfolio. So I will always be writing. I mean, like as a gaming journalist, you're expected to kind of write between about 3 and 5 articles a week.
Oh right, okay.
But 3 or 5. I mean, each one could take about an hour or 2. But I kind of like aim for like more than that. I try and like push myself, and I want to try and write as much as possible, because I like seeing stats. I like seeing like high figures. I like to see a portfolio build up. And I mean, I don't really know. Okay. As far as like the gaming websites go, 2 years from now I could be working somewhere else. I'm not sure, but it's kind of like keep climbing, I guess.
Keep climbing. I love it.
Keep climbing.
I love it. I'm just looking here. So some of your articles lately is so do you just write about what you like, or are you told, like, sort of given an idea of what you should write, or is it completely up to you?
So basically, we have like we report to a news manager. And they will kind of be in charge of kind of like sourcing news from Twitter, Reddit, things like that. If you find news stories, the second it drops, it would kind of like be posted on kind of like a bit of a task kind of thing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And a writer would basically assign the task themselves, and they would basically have to do it straight there. But if a task becomes more than 24 hours old, then it's scrapped, because it's then considered as old news. So every writer kind of has to be on the ball. When something drops, you kind of like you have to basically jump onto it, and that's it. So, but I mean, writers are always kind of like not as much expected, but kind of like asked to basically go out of their way if they want to kind of find some news stories. So if you see something yourself, then you can jump straight onto it and to write it.
Oh, cool.
And I think something I've kind of like really enjoyed as well is like feature writing.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of like say top 10 lists. So like top 10 violent video games, top 10 certain scenes.
Yeah, that's a good one. They tend to get a bit of traction as well, don't they?
I mean, those types of things are always trending. Those have like a much higher chance of kind of like reaching a wider audience. So those are always popular to do. But I mean, that's kind of it, really. I mean, it's kind of like a nice job to have.
Yeah, it sounds cool. It's definitely interesting. And I'm just looking at the Void. You've got Elderly Woman Nails Down with the Sickness drum cover. I love it. No, it's cool just to see. There's lots of different things going all over the place, and but it's all sort of grouped together. It's all the same thing. It's all people.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the global news of the Void. That's something that's kind of hard to kind of keep on top of, because trying to keep on top of gaming news is kind of one job, but kind of keeping on top of music news is like a second thing. So it's not easy kind of keeping on top of both things at once.
Lots of plates spinning. That's good.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well, it's been absolutely amazing speaking to you. I've really, really enjoyed it.
No problem.
It's been great. How do people find you then? So let's just go through some of the websites, and so they can find you on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn, Jordan Tury, which is JordanTury.
Yep.
You can also find me on The Void as well, which is thevoidmag.uk.
Yeah. You write for the game. Facebook, yeah.
Well, basically, those three. That's the main three things.
They're the ones.
Basically that's it. You can also find me on Vocal Media as well. If you're interested in kind of seeing some of the stuff that I write, you can go onto Vocal Media. You can type in Jordan Tury, again Tury, and you can come across my entire portfolio there.
Lovely. Yeah, I think that's what I did actually earlier on today.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a great weekend. I'll send this over to you, and we'll take it from there.
Thanks very much.
Take care, man. Thank you.
You too. Bye.